It's a week without any midweek football, and that raises some question marks as to content. Thankfully, Arsenal have provided plenty. We've got controversies of kits, we've got some spending rule changes to discuss, and we've got some transfer links too. And I have got the world's worst suffering of hay fever. This is the Arsenal News Show. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for the, what is the Arsenal? I was going to call it the Arsenal Sniffle Show because it feels incredibly like that's that's the case at the moment. Just incredibly stuffy and polleny and hay fevery. I'm sure I'm not the only one suffering watching this. For those that also are suffering from the dreaded hay fever, I empathise completely. Apparently, so much so I've got sympathy hay fever for you. So apologies if there's any sniffles. I'll be trying to mute myself when indeed I need to do that. But thank you for those tuning in. It is very, very much appreciated. Have a fantastic week, and I hope you've had a fantastic start to your week, of course, as well. If you could ever be so kind, be ever so kind, ever be so kind. You know the order of the words. I clearly don't. Then drop a like on the video and help us to reach 1K every single day on the channel. We, of course, have been doing this for the entirety of the second half of the season, pretty much. And we've been pretty darn well good at it. So thank you for those that continue to support the channel in such a form. Right, let's jump into the chat box. Good morning to those that are with us live. Black Shine, Barry, Peekahoo, Franklin, Darren, Damien, Alpha Dan, NSW, Stephen, Aiden, Damien, Stephen, Jose, Rich, and Shari. I've got a Maker, Mr. Ree. We've got Glenn. We've got other Martin, Amesy, another Martin, Matt G, Chris, Maximius, Angela, Carl, Lars, Morgie. Thank you to all of you for tuning in. It is incredibly appreciated. I hope you had a fantastic weekend, by the way. If you didn't tune into yesterday's show, make sure you catch up. It was a very condensed reaction of the results, but we're back with the usual length show today. So I'll be going through all of the stories and then going through your questions for the next half an hour or so after that as well. Right, let's jump into today's stories, and we must start with the Arsenal meme of the season. Trossard responding to Anne Hathaway. I have to say, my favourite tweet of the season, perhaps of the year, and it's going to take a lot of beating. I tweeted this to my personal account yesterday, was from @false9 spelled in the German spelling, tweeted a quote tweet of the interview, which was on, I think, was it on the Today Show? I think it was. And Anne Hathaway getting a message from Leandro Trossard. And the tweet is, Arteta has really turned around our record, man. We're even one Anne Hathaway, which is, if you get it, which you should, is just glorious. So I'm hoping you've seen the tweet and understood the joke, because it is brilliant, and certainly my tweet of the year so far. But yes, Trossard sending a message. Arsenal's PR team doing some brilliant work here. You got to buy into this type of hype, buy into these trends, and Trossard doing the business there. Certainly worth it. By the way, if you're available, Anne, for an interview, you're more than welcome on the channel. But moving forwards to more serious stuff, and the Premier League, the 16 of the 20 Premier League clubs have voted in favour of the implementation of a spending cap. This spending cap is designed to be brought in for the 25-26 season, if indeed it is ratified. This vote does not mean it is certainly going to happen, but this is the first step in the process to making it a thing. What this would be is that clubs are basically restricted to spending 5 times the amount of the TV revenue of the bottom placed club. So whoever finished bottom, I would assume it would be whoever finished bottom of this season, which would be Sheffield United. So for that, if it was coming in for next season, clubs would be able to spend, I don't think it even matters on the team, because obviously the TV revenue is split depending upon where different sides finish in certain positions. So for the 20th position, which is Sheffield United this season, of course, the money that 20th team would get from TV rights revenue, clubs are restricted to spending 5 times that amount. This is the idea to come in to replace PSR. And the idea is, of course, that clubs voting for this do so because PSR has been deemed apparently too stringent, too punishing of certain clubs, Nottingham Forest and Everton so far. of course, under scrutiny and have faced charges from PSR. But this is a spending cap which is voted for by clubs. So the idea is that how can we really moan about it if the clubs in the league have voted it into existence? Now, Arsenal and Tottenham voted for these new Premier League rules. Chelsea, maybe unsurprisingly so, depending on what your opinion is, abstained. And Aston Villa, Manchester City, and Manchester United all rejected the idea of the spending cap, which is, again, I don't think, I really don't think that that's in any way a surprise. I think that Arsenal have done excellently within their budget. They have complied with profit and sustainability rules, and they spent more than a lot of other clubs. And you still get some people that don't really understand how Arsenal have spent money in recent years. I can guess this is one from Nuances of Fate who left a comment. Of course, we voted for a spending cap. Heck, given a choice, we'd never spend any money. I mean, I don't know if they've missed the last 4 seasons, but Arsenal have spent more than they've ever done during a single summer last season. That same record existed when they spent more in 2022 than ever before as well. All Arsenal have done in the last 4 years is continually spend more and more money, to the point where we have been on the boundaries of profit and sustainability regulation. So the irony of the old stereotype that Arsenal don't like spending money is dead. Apparently not to everyone, though. Arsenal, of course, voting this in because they have worked within the confines of the current rules, and they've positioned themselves very, very well, challenging for successive titles with not necessarily as much work to do as a lot of other clubs. Clubs like Aston Villa, of course, I'm not surprised, are voting against it. They had intentions to spend huge amounts of money under their new ownership. And, of course, Manchester City and Manchester United also continually want to spend money. I'm a little surprised by Man City, but I'm more so unsurprised by Manchester United, who desperately need to spend and spend and spend to be able to get back amongst the title challengers, and they are going to be restricted in doing so. There is still, of course, the elephant in the room, the fact that the horse has kind of bolted. If we want to try and bring in spending caps and spending restrictions, I mean, they should have been brought in a long, long time ago and preempted the potential investments that would have come in from the outside in a skewed fashion towards clubs like Chelsea and Manchester City, of course, in the noughties in the early 2010s. But it is something that's designed to try and level the playing field and make things more competitive in the league. Moving into other stories, and stories more Arsenal related, Kai Havertz has been explaining that famous celebration that has annoyed so many rival fans and some of his own critics as well. He told the Mirror that Neymar used to do it, and recently he was in the German national team, and one of the guys there, Marvin Dukscher, who plays for Werder Bremen, was sitting next to him on the coach, and before the game said, if you score today, do the celebration. And he said, okay, and I scored and I did the celebration, and then it just carried on. So finally we have a bit of an answer to why Kai Havertz does this celebration, and it's just great to see Kai Havertz very much enjoying his time at Arsenal and having a fantastic time in the Arsenal shirt, proving so many people wrong and putting them firmly face down in the mud. Moving to Charlie Patino, and Italian reports have suggested that clubs such as Juventus and I believe Roma also said to be interested in the young Arsenal midfielder. His contract with Arsenal will expire at the end of next season. Arsenal activated a clause in the contract to extend it by 2 years, which was through until 2025. They did that in 2023. And so therefore, it was always going to be, I think, that Charlie Patino was going to move on. It was just about how much money Arsenal might get for him. He's fallen out of favour at Swansea. He's not been playing too many minutes at all whilst in the Championship. Now, this report from the Italian outlet that's reporting this, I believe, is the Calcio Mercato. Now, in that report, according to Team Talk, who have translated this, they're claiming that the report says that Patino has no intention of playing under Mikel Arteta, which, if it is indeed the case, I'd be very surprised if that was true. If they're trying to suggest, of course, that he's not been getting too many opportunities under Arteta, that's absolutely fine. But the idea that Patino has no intention of playing under Arteta, I just can't foresee as being accurate. Arteta, of course, gave him a senior opportunity on a number of occasions, gave him a debut at senior level, started him in an FA Cup game, which he didn't particularly do too well against Nottingham Forest in, of course, scored in that League Cup game as he came on as a substitute. Arteta's actually given this guy opportunities, and actually we've given him 2 really good loan opportunities to Blackpool and Swansea, which haven't necessarily delivered a fantastic return. So it's going to be intriguing where he ends up in the summer, but he has just 1 year on his deal. I wouldn't expect a huge transfer fee, but the saga of Charlie Patino seems to be coming to something of a close very soon. Now, according to Court Offside, Arsenal are said to also be linked with a move for Carlos Baleba, the Brighton midfielder who was signed as a long-term replacement for both McAllister and Caicedo. Has had a decent campaign. He's well liked at Brighton, and the Brighton fans, of course, are kind of looking at this and going, for goodness sake, when are we ever going to be able to keep hold of a midfielder for longer than 1 or 2 seasons? Arsenal, I don't think should necessarily be looking at Baleba as one of their key options to be replacement for Partey or Jorginho. He's still, for me, developing. He's still improving, and he's still having to prove himself at the Premier League level. I think I'd want Arsenal to go for somebody a little bit more established than Baleba. There's suggestions that Brighton would ask for a figure of around 50 to 55 million pounds, which, considering they bought him for less than half of that, I believe it was. Is it less than half of that? Maybe it was around half that last season when he joined Brighton. I think it was from Lille. I just can't see how he's been able to rise that transfer value that much. Yeah, it was only around 20 to 25 million pounds they signed him for. So I don't foresee how they would be able to garner a fee of double that amount, considering he's not even necessarily established himself as a key starter yet for Brighton. He's been in and out the side. He started off quite slow and has been playing more minutes recently. But yeah, I don't necessarily buy this one. And our headline story of the day is surrounding the new kits. Now, I know that plenty of you will be well aware of the new home kit in particular that was leaked a little while ago, and all the Arsenal kits will be adorned with just the Arsenal cannon. It's my understanding that there's no intention for Arsenal to change their badge officially. It's just that the cannon will be adorned across all of the shirts, home, third, and away kits this upcoming season. The home kit, of course, as you can see from the image, if you're listening on catch up, I'm sure you're still aware and you've probably seen them, but you can hop over to YouTube if you like to see them. But Footy Headlines have obviously showcased these on the website, and you can see them on the Footy Headlines website as well. But there's a lot of white on the Arsenal home kit. I think personally it's going to look better when it's on the players. I don't think it's going to look as bad as it looks in this image. I think it will actually look quite good when the players are wearing it. The away kit, though, which is a black kit with kind of these strange white and black patterned shoulder things, and then a red cannon with a green Adidas logo, and then a red and green collar with green and red Adidas shoulder stripes. I'm not. If it got rid of the little shoulder things, it would actually be all right. I think it would be quite nice, but I don't know what those shoulder things are. I really don't. And, you know, I'm a big fan of any kit that's of a darker shade. I love a black kit. You know, my favorite kit of all time is Arsenal's away kit from last season. I've waxed lyrical about that kit and wear that any opportunity I can. But I don't get what is with these shoulder patterns. They ruin it. I think it would be actually a really nice kit if indeed it didn't have those little patterned shoulder things. But the third kit is also, by the way, it's kind of a turquoisey color, and then it's got like a pinky purpley strip like the home kit does. Adidas, I think, have missed a bit this season, and it's a shame because obviously I think the Adidas have had some really good kits. You know my thoughts on the away kit from this season. I'm very gracious for it being bought by our very kind listeners, but there was definitely some irony in that present. But yeah, goodness me, I just cannot for the life of me understand why we've decided to go down such an awful avenue with these kits. But the home kit, I think, will look better when it's actually when you see it on the players. The away kit and the third kit, again, I think they might be ones that will have to grow on us somewhat. I'm not a fan of the. I keep talking about them, but I'm really not a fan of those shoulder pad things on the away kit. They're so strange, so strange. Anyway, of course, the show is always supported for the moment by Football Prizes. You can go to the competitions tab at the top of the Football Prizes webpage to go through all of their latest offerings. They're always producing some form of Arsenal-related prize as well as some really interesting and niche opportunities to win some pretty cool things, football memorabilia and tickets to events sometimes as well. So I recommend you go and check out the website, go through it, and best of luck to all of those of you that are continuing to get involved. You can find a link to the Football Prize website down in today's video description. Right, we're going to move to part 2 now, and your questions right after this. Okay, let's jump into the chat box, shall we? And tackle as many of your questions as we can. I love this one, Rich. It's a Lynx Africa kit. It does. Lynx Africa was a black can with a green and red, wasn't it? Yeah, that is an excellent view of the away kit, the Lynx Africa kit. Everyone's going to get one for Christmas then. No one will buy one when it comes out. They're all just going to be Christmas presents that everybody gets. Rob says, how would new spending rules affect new teams coming up? If they spend 5 times and then go back down, could it create a lot of financial issues? Surely this is what spending rules were introduced to try and combat. It's a fair question. Obviously, when teams do get relegated, they get something called parachute payments, which are designed to be there so that the significant drop in revenue that they receive when they do go down doesn't destroy them as clubs that have wages on players that were signed when they're in the Premier League. So the idea is, of course, they could still spend significantly, which any club could do before, by the way. I know it seems on the paper, well, the team at the bottom of the table could spend 5 times the revenue that they would if they've got the investment there to do so. But they would still be able to have financial parachute payments if they were to go back down, to design to try and help with that situation. Coop Dog says, what was Sheffield's TV revenue or the TV revenue of the bottom team last year? Shall we have a quick look on this? Premier League TV revenue split. This article's for the 21-22 season, so this is slightly out of date, of course. It says here, Manchester City in millions for TV revenue got 146 million, and Norwich City, who finished bottom in 2022, got 93 million. So I mean, 5 times that, you're looking at just under 500 million. Now I don't know if this is like a spending cap over a certain period of time, but it is interesting, isn't it, that there is that amount. I don't know if we can find the more so for this season. It doesn't seem to give me the option to look at it for this season, but yeah, it's quite a lot of money, and I imagine it's only gone up since then, so you're probably looking at like 500 million, something close to that. So yeah, looking at, there's an article here from 2024 from February. Does it tell me the share across the leagues? Oh, we can go to the bottom club. All the way down at the bottom is AFC Bournemouth. Here it is saying equal share prize money. Does it give television? No, it doesn't. So looking at here, it's around 79 million, but it's difficult, it seems, to get like the official numbers for the current campaign. But I'd speculate from that previous article that we looked at, probably around 500 million is the cap, but I don't know if that's across a certain period of time. There's still a lot of things that need to be worked out. Of course, this is only a vote of a theory, of kind of a proposal. So the idea is that it has to now go to an AGM where it'll be ratified and specified and finalized before we get more information about it. So it's difficult to even speculate at the moment what the impacts could be on a club like Arsenal or a club down the bottom of the table. Wes says, hey Tom, have you heard how salty the Spurs fans are after the North London derby? It's ridiculous, and they would rather miss out on top 4 than us win the league. I don't think it's the case that they'd rather miss out on the top, or maybe for some it is, but it looks very unlikely that Tottenham will finish in the top 4 at the moment because Aston Villa are so far ahead of them. Chelsea play Spurs this week. Of course, we probably want Spurs to win that game, ironically, because it keeps their league campaign alive. It gives them something to fight for when they potentially face Manchester City. If they do win that game against Chelsea and they win their other game in hand, which is against Manchester City, they would be only 1 point behind City going into the final game of the season, but they also have to win their other game. Their fixtures, I don't know if we can have a quick look. Yeah, they've got Liverpool away from home. If they lose to Liverpool, I think that it's going to be over for them. Liverpool, though, you never know, could lose that game. They've got Burnley at home, then Man City away, then Sheffield United away on the last day. I just don't see a world where they're still in the race for top 4 when they go and play Manchester City. And if that's the case, and if it was the other way around and Arsenal had nothing to play for and losing meant it cost Spurs the title, I'd probably think as well that I'd rather that we didn't win if it cost them. If it doesn't affect Arsenal in any way, shape, or form, it's the only justification you could ever have for not wanting Arsenal to win, I believe. I think it's the only time you can ever justify Arsenal not winning a game. So, to some degree, I empathise with that point of view from Spurs fans. Is it funny? Absolutely. Is it great? It's wonderful that we've put them into that position where they're having to wish their own team lose. Like, as I said, I empathise with it, and I'll probably, if it was the other way around, but it's never going to be the other way around, so I'm never going to have to worry about feeling that way. But they are. That's the reality of supporting Tottenham, is that you may have to hope your team lose just because you care more so about your rivals, which is great. Let's go to Kazang says, with the entire Manchester United squad supposedly up for sale. Not the entire Man United squad. These are reports coming out suggesting they want a big overhaul, but players like Kobe Manu, Garnacho, Højlund, these players are not up for sale. But there is suggestions that Rashford could leave the club, that Manchester United want him to stay, but they would be open to a sale if they got a considerable offer. And indeed, he wanted to push for a new challenge. Would I take Rashford? I would not be averse to the idea of signing Marcus Rashford. I think that he's an excellent player. And if given a new lease of life, I think could really flourish. I really think that people should be a bit wary of ruling out players at their own peril. I think that Kai Havertz stands as an excellent example of why, if the club want to sign a player, we should probably give them the benefit of the doubt in this case. And if they don't want to sign a player, we should probably give them the benefit of the doubt at the moment. They've given us very little reason to doubt them in the market. And for that reason, I don't think there's any reason why, if Arsenal went for Rashford, we should really be, clamoring for that not to happen. So I'd be interested to see if Rashford was to leave, how he might flourish in a different environment. William Saliba says, TC, what the hell is going on with punditry? Why are people claiming that Kulusevski's dive was a penalty? Trossard doesn't even initiate the contact. Rather, it's Kulusevski who strides and hits Trossard, because you have to try and clutch at straws. Some people have to try and clutch at straws to try and suggest that they deserved something, to give them something in the game. There's always going to be people who disagree with it. They are biased. Of course, you could argue that we're biased, being Arsenal fans, but I don't think it was a penalty. I thought it was, in reflection, very, very soft if it had have been given. I can see why people are frustrated, but I think you raise a good point that the initiation of the contact is a little bit, it's just two players kind of running across each other's paths without an intention to foul the other. And sadly for Spurs, which is not sadly for us at all, but it doesn't seem that's the case. Watermelon says, "What the issue with salaries, Tom? He earns too much and would have to take a pay cut. I probably would have to take a pay cut, perhaps. I mean, what is Rashford's wage? Bear in mind that we've got players, quite a lot of players, on £250,000 to £300,000 per week. It's worth pointing out. Let's have a look. What is Marcus Rashford's salary? Is it around 250 to 300,000? Try and have a look. Spot Rack are usually pretty good with these, giving us some information about player salaries. I'm hoping that maybe someone puts in the chat box while this website decides to painfully load rather slowly. Rashford's wage is said to be $15 million. Is that a season? Why is it in dollars? That's really annoying. If I type in Spot Rack and Rashford and then .uk, hopefully it comes up in good old English money rather than looking at it in dollars. No, it's still coming up in dollars for me, which is annoying, but it's the reality, it seems. So what's $15 million? So we're going to have to do dollars to pounds and then do a bit of maths. So 15,600,000. That is £12.45 million, which I think is ironically more than what Arteta's on. 12450,204. Divide that by 52. That's £239,000 per week, apparently. So it doesn't seem it's that much as what people may have thought. I don't think he would necessarily have to take a pay cut. According to Spot Rack, his wage is, or according to them, around £250,000 per week. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's 300 to 350 with like all bonuses thrown in. But it's worth pointing out that Saka's wage, if bonuses were thrown in, would also be around £300,000 per week. I don't think it's... if people are worrying about bonuses, then don't. Because the only way that players are actually activating bonuses to get wages that high is if they have incredible success, which is what you want. So You know, it's like Kai Havertz is one of the highest paid players at the club if all of his bonuses are activated. Same for Bukayo Saka. So I wouldn't worry yourselves about Rashford's wage at all. From the looks of that, it doesn't seem to be as high as what many people have seemingly suggested, which is good, I guess, if Arsenal were to look at him. Ajmal says, TGT, the GCSE talk. Yeah, we're doing a lot of maths today. A lot of maths. But it seems that it's... Amberly says, yeah, I don't believe it's that low. I mean, feel free to come at me with evidence to suggest it's not. I'm using SpotRat, which are pretty good when it comes to looking at player wages. But if you've got any evidence to suggest it's significantly more than that, then feel free to leave your sources in the chat and let me know. But he's a 26-year-old moving from Manchester United to Arsenal. You're going to be paying 250 to 300,000 pounds a week. He's homegrown as well. You're going to get that. Some people talk about his attitude. I think there was obviously that story recently about him going on a night out. That wouldn't be the case if he was to sign for Arsenal. Rashford, by the way, has done an incredible amount of work, of course, here in the UK on a charitable side of things, and done a lot of good in this country. So players make mistakes, people make mistakes, and, you know, going on a night out, not a good look. But I like to think if we sign a player, then clean slate and all that, and hopefully you're signing knowing that Mikel Arteta and Arsenal have principles, they have expectations of you, and you follow those expectations. So yeah, has he built up a lot of credit in the bank? Definitely. Does it make what he did okay? Absolutely not. But I think you sign players with a clean slate. You know, it's, if they do something at Arsenal, that's a difference. Like Aubameyang, for instance, was late to a North London derby, broke protocol a number of times, had disciplinary breaches, and we rightfully made the decision to move him on, to the displeasure and dislike of a lot of his biggest fans at the club. But I think we can all agree that has proven to be the right decision in the long run. Let's go to TGR. Says he's got a Ballon d'Or and a World Cup bonus in there, apparently. All that salary is going to feeding kids, which, of course, he's done a lot of work in charity as well. David says the away kit is a collaboration with Rocky and Righty, apparently. They sold the green and red trainers last season. I mean, it's a lovely message, of course. I just wish he didn't have those marks on the shoulders. I don't know if those marks are like in relation to Ian Wright's designs of this season when he done his Ian Wright kit, but they don't need to be there. They really, really don't. Mira says, if we're still 2 points behind City in second going into the final game, do you think we'll still wear the new home kit? You never know. West Ham could do something. I don't know. Usually, with the last few seasons, we've worn the new home kit in the final game as kind of a big commercial thing. But I don't know. I don't know of any plans yet to wear the new home kit on the final game of the season. Do I see Sophie in the chat box? I thought I saw Sophie's name pop up. I think I did. Just tuned in and you're doing maths. My brain hurts indeed. That's what these listeners want. Keep asking me questions about finances and wages, so we have to do a little bit of maths here and there. Sophie says, would you put in a cheeky bid for Virgil van Dijk as a backup to Saliba and Gabriel? Imagine that. Imagine. It's going to be very interesting to see what Liverpool have to do in the summer. Suggestions are that Mohamed Salah will stay, even though there's interest from Saudi Arabia, of course. But suggestions are that he looks like he's going to be staying. Van Dijk, of course, I would expect to be staying as well. Arne Slot will have a good foundation of a squad, but they need to be changing. Leonora says, please, Tom, stop being negative about the Arsenal kit. Please, please stop. I mean, I said I like black kits. I'm a really fan of when we have dark kits. I just don't really get the shoulder pads. I also don't really get why people aren't allowed to have a critical opinion of a kit. It's a bit of a strange one. Duncan says, Tom, I think the away jersey is a tribute to Kenyan fans, as these are the colours of the Kenyan flag as well. It's nice that you've got that attachment, I suppose. It's a nice coincidence. Tom says, now the white bits are what make the kit look cool. The green and red is an ugly colour clash, and that's the issue with that kit. I guess people have been, you're entitled to your opinion, isn't it? TJR says, is Righty Kenya? I don't know. No. I mean, I don't know. I don't. Or smells of Lynx Africa. Maybe it's that. Maybe Ian Wright used a lot of Lynx Africa. I think everyone did they not? Everyone got Lynx Africa in their Christmas stocking. So there you go. William Saliba says, I like the black kits, and I can't lie. These other brothers can't deny. D says, why has no one mentioned Richarlison's assault on the Gabriel and the North London derby? I mean, I think it was just two players kind of coming together. I really didn't read too much into it at all. The kid says Baleba is the closest thing I've seen to Partey in the Premier League after Lavia. John Rocks pointed out that Ian Wright has Jamaican heritage. So there you go. Definitely not Kenyan background. Can't say I've been aware of of what Ian Wright's background is. Just that, just nothing really. I mean, the Lynx Africa thing, I think, is the best joke we've got about the away kit so far. As he says, I do love the new black kit and will certainly be buying it. And fair play to you. If you like it, it's like the current away kit. If you like the current away kit, fair play to you. Everyone's entitled to have their opinion. You're entitled to like what you like and dislike what you dislike. Yeah, it's just for me, and I'm entitled to put out that opinion that if I'm a fan of something or if I'm not a fan of something. Personally, I think we should just wear the Norway kits next season. I think that'd be the way forwards. Just wear the Norway home and away kit, and we wouldn't have a problem because they're absolutely glorious. Tiernan says, when would the final vote be on the new regulations? If they get passed, maybe you get an interview with the financial gurus who could understand the rules. Of course, we'll do some digging into that. In terms of when the vote could be, there's not too much information on a finalized date yet, but the expectation is that this rule could see them come in for the 25-26 season. Damien says this season has gone really quickly. It has, yeah. Very, very fast. Really quick. Indeed. Derek says, Tom, Timber back on Saturday. Are you doing United away? Can Wolves do something this week? Timber could be back for this weekend. Of course, he's played back-to-back under 21 games now. He played 71 minutes on on Sunday. So there's loads of reason for there's loads of reason to be very. I mean, yeah, I suppose those would be very positive about Jurien Timber. Bed says, where is the new kit? I haven't seen it. If you go back to the start of the show or go back through the topics, you'll be able to see it. Chris says, hi, Tom. Has your centre forward preference changed from Gyökeres now? Is it looking more likely that we go for an KhornKT replacement? My opinion has changed slightly to Sesko. I think that, well, at least from my perspective, Gyökeres still continues to be a very good option if Arsenal wanted to go for him. My number one is Isak, but he's not. I don't think he's available or gettable. So that's why Gyökeres has been kind of the standout for me, because I think he's a gettable player. But certainly Gyökeres and Isak are up there. But we may end up going for a Sesko type because we feel as though we've got enough starting at centre forwards with Kai Havertz. So that's worth pointing out. Ashman says, do you think there would be a balance in our attack on the left-hand side and the right-hand side when Timber comes back? Sometimes Martinelli looks a bit isolated and we rely heavily on Saka. I think the midfielder that we need to sign obviously would help. I do think that it's worth pointing out that Partey's absence has definitely affected the left-hand side. I think Arteta actually raised that in one of his press conferences. So that's also worth pointing out. Jonathan Daly says, 2 away kits in a row. You don't like Tommy Boy. You're sounding like a Spurs fan. I'm entitled to like what I like and dislike what I dislike. It's not my fault if Adidas are producing kits I've got question marks about. It's just the way of the world. It's a lottery, our kits, and sometimes you get lucky, sometimes not so much. Grantley Pooh says, hi, Tom. Is it just me that misses the yellow away kit? She wore, indeed. I mean, we haven't done a yellow away kit that was like, because I don't really look at this season's yellow away kit as like Arsenal yellow. It's fluorescent. It's like a fluorescent greeny yellow. It's not Arsenal yellow. So I do hope that one day we do go back. What really frustrates me sometimes, it really frustrates me that there are fan concept kits that go out all the time. And I see them across, and you probably see them as well, that look absolutely stunning. Like some of the kits that are produced by some of our fans and the creativity and the talent they've got in design are unbelievable. There was a white kit, a white and gold kit that had like red trim that looked amazing. There was a yellow and black kit I saw recently that looked absolutely stunning. And it's so incredibly frustrating that I see these concept kits and just think, if Arsenal made a kit like that, it would fly off the shelves. It would absolutely fly. And I don't know why there isn't some collaboration sometimes where Adidas kind of eats a little bit of humble pie with their designers and go, look, let's give the fans what they want. Look at these viral sensations that go mad. Look at these concept kits that go crazy and use them as inspiration. I mean, the black away kit from last season is the best-selling away kit in Arsenal's history. And that's because it was a clean, crisp, really nice design, loads of simpleness to it as well, with a lovely kind of patterned effect. It wasn't too bold. It wasn't jarring to look at. It was just a really nice, smooth kit. And you see these concepts and they are glorious. And then some of the kits that come out, like like this season's away kit. It absolutely boggles the mind how they can miss, because there's such an opportunity at times to get such a great kit available as well. Will TNT says, finally watching my first live show. Welcome to the show, Will, and thank you for tuning in, my friend. Darren says, the red and green on the kit acts as a homage to the Arsenal legends of David Rocastle and Liam Wright. The colourway previously featured in a limited edition trainer designed to celebrate the friendship between the two. I mean, I love the messaging behind it. It's absolutely glorious. I think someone else has pointed that out in the show already. If that is indeed the inspiration, I adore that inspiration. But the shoulder things really bother me. I can't help it. It's just the way I feel about that kit. I think it would have been great if it was just black, red, and green. I think that would have been a really good, but it did not need those accents. Wontong says they're literally in the business of selling kits. Why wouldn't they give customers what they want? I mean, it's a question mark of the ages. Why don't companies give their customers what they want? I talk about with the gaming industry all the time. There's a really good video recently by the Act Man. I don't know if he's a YouTuber that I've watched plenty of, talking about kind of gaming. He talks about kind of like AAA titles and how the budgets of these games, and like they're not giving the fans what they want, but they're trying to be crowd pleasers at the same time. So much of commercial is about that at the moment, and you just give us what we want, and that's the best way to make your money. Very frustrating. Justin says the message might be noble, but the kit is hideous. Wilson says, quite frankly, Tom has got the damn right to express his opinion. Lay off him, man. Bloody hell, Wilson is my personal bodyguard. He's got to go, blood. Wilson, I don't know if you know this. I've been watching. I tell you what, my guilty pleasure at the moment is watching these Sidemen Among Us videos. Absolutely love them. And Wilson in our chat box, believe it or not, actually features as one of the memes that they use from his AFTV interview, which I just find so funny. Didn't know if you were aware of that, Wilson, but there's a fair few videos that use you in them. So go and check them out. I love that Among Us game. It's so fun. I'm talking about a really simple game. This is a lot of fun. We should definitely do like a TGT Among Us, like get a load of listeners onto Discord or something and play a round of Among Us. That'd be hilarious. Whereas says the aim this season, like you said earlier, was to get to the Champions League and compete better than last season. Have we at this stage met that, or do we need to compete until the end? I think we have progressed further than last season. We are looking like we're on track to score more goals. We're looking like we're on track to concede fewer goals, and we look like we're on track to get more points. I'd love to see us compete to the end. I'd love to see us go into the final game of the season still being able to win it. I'm so fed up of last games of the season being dead rubbers. It's so annoying. For a long time, that's been the case. I know there was a year where obviously Spurs had to lose to Norwich, which was never going to happen. But, I'm so sick of last day of the season being a dead rubber and just being a nice day out. I want it to be pressurized. I want something to play for. I think that's really, really important. There's a lot of people saying they're interested in playing some Among Us. We might need to do that in the Discord server. That'd be great. Of course, if you'd like to be a member and join our Discord server, you can go down to the link tree in the description and you can tune into our daily Discords. I was reading through a lot of the messages during the North London derby. It's always great to read back through our game time chat in there and see everyone enjoying it. It's a nice community, seeing people have met people for the first time. We actually did a meetup the other week, and some of our members came down to North London to watch the Wolves game together because I was off on annual leave. So we did a little meetup and it was a lot of fun. Shared some pizza. Laura had I can't agree with Laura's decision here. We were Laura Kirk-France, as you've obviously seen on the channel before, came down as well and chose Korean burgers over a pizza. That's just, could never. Pizza's just like the one. Italian cuisine all the way. Popham says, who would be your main winger target? Is striker forward? Is centre forward. Further down the list of priorities, mine would be Rodrigo. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Striker is certainly, I think, further down the target list than what was, I think, previously thought. I think midfield, I think the wide areas, they are the ones. Black Halo Man says, Among Us, we need to do a Halo 3 LAN party. We're going back to the late noughties now. Goodness gracious me. Goodness me. That would Halo 3 LAN parties. You're bringing back some nostalgia of my childhood there. Those are the one. Absolutely brilliant. Do some Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt on Halo used to be brilliant. Oh, the geekiness of my childhood is coming through for all to see now. But yeah, definitely Among Us is something that I'd love to do. Duncan says, how do you rate the season so far? Again, I think we're progressing. We're moving in the right direction. We are closer to our goals, and we want to be. Disappointing in some senses. Cup competitions, I wanted to see us go further, of course. But we drew against Liverpool, and we drew Liverpool in the FA Cup after drawing Manchester City the year before. So I've not got too many FA Cup complaints, to be fair. Champions League, am I disappointed to have gone out to Bayern Munich? Yes, I think we could have gone through. And the title is still very much alive for us, and we could still win it. So, and that's a really nice place to be with 3 games to go until the end of the campaign. So I'm very happy. I'm happy. Yeah, I think I'm just happy where we are. I'm happy being an Arsenal fan. I'm happy that we're competing, and I'm happy that this process has delivered what I wanted, which was Arsenal to be back and competing for the biggest titles and trophies. I can never sit here and say that, the process was about delivering, a league. It's difficult to sit here and speak so entitledly about a league which is so dominated by Manchester City. I can only expect us to challenge at the very minimum, So, and that's what we've been able to achieve. So, very happy indeed. Wes says, what do you think of Arsenal fans that are calling for Arteta's head if we don't win the season? They're comedians, mate. Comedians doing it for the content and nothing more than that. Tom says, who here played the OG Duck Hunt? I never did. I only heard of it through Halo 3 custom games. That's what it was. Kazang says, I think the red, green, white is from the hat logo. This isn't red, green. This is red, white, and blue. This is our American design when we used to produce some merch. Haven't produced merch for a long while now. I do really want to get it back. It's a lot of hassle doing merch, I tell you. Again, feel free to people to get in touch. I haven't found the avenue I want to take yet, but if you're involved in merchandise and you can produce hats in particular. I've had a few people reach out, but sadly they couldn't produce hats. That proved to be a bit of a problem because the hats is the main thing I really want, more so than like T-shirts and stuff. Yeah, that's it's a personal favorite, this red, white, and blue one, because it was to celebrate the trip out to Chicago, which was very enjoyable indeed. John says, what are your pre-season plans? Any traveling? I'm going to Italy at the start of June. Don't worry, you're still going to be getting some 8 a.m. shows from Tuscany. Other than that, no, I'm not going away. Other than that, I'm sadly not going to be in America for the pre-season tour. I will be covering it from here and talking a lot about it from here, and I'm sure be very jealous seeing a lot of the events that are going on out there. And one year, it's a bucket list thing to do an Arsenal pre-season tour in America, but one year it will happen. But sadly not this year. Alvamod says, what's the closest you've come to not hitting 1,000 likes? In our challenge of trying to hit 1,000 likes, I don't know what the closest is that we've ever come to not hitting 1,000 likes on a video. 2 days ago, we got 1.1. I'm trying to find the last time we didn't get over. Oh, it's the win over Wolves. To be fair, our raw reaction shows are often the biggest challenges because obviously people tune in for the news shows and less so for our match reactions. But the last 2 match reactions before the Chelsea and Spurs games were they just got over 1,000 likes. So it seems that that's the closest we've come. Chris says, no offense, Tom, but I'm buzzing for your holiday. Your honeymoon pre-recorded shows were top tier. And Chris, I'm probably hoping to do some more pre-recorded shows for my holiday as well. Still will be doing some live 8 a.m.s. In fact, we'll do all the live 8 a.m.s unless there's a flight, which I think one day I might have a flight, but I'll definitely have a show pre-recorded for you so that something goes out at 8 a.m. There's some pre-recorded stuff planned. Don't worry, you should see some familiar faces this year once again. TJR says, I played Duck Hunt, didn't have NES Mega Drive as far as back as I go, Sonic and Co, but Crash Bandicoot was when things got real. I was never a big Crash Bandicoot player. I had a PlayStation 2, but I was never a Crash Bandicoot player. I know gamers of my generation will probably be wondering how on earth that happened, but yeah, it just didn't happen. I did have a Crash Bandicoot racing game on PSP. That was the only one I had. But other than that, yeah, no, Crash Bandicoot was not a big part of my life. TJR says, I played... Oh, sorry, I've just read that one. Chris, we've done Chris's comment. Hasala says, hi, Tom. How do you think Fabregas would do as a left centre mid in this team? Very well, mate. Very well indeed. Shane says, Tom, I've noticed that Sambi has recovered and is back in the Luton team. Do you know how he's performed, and have you got any further insight into what Arsenal's plans are with him in the summer? Not on the second point. There's been not really any decision taken yet. I think they're going to wait and see how the summer plays out, if they get any kind of offers for him and how he performs in pre-season, if indeed he returns for that and doesn't leave before that point. I haven't watched much of Luton since his return, but prior to the injury that he last suffered, he was doing very, very well. So, and he's very highly rated, by the way, by Rob Green. I think if Rob Edwards, sorry, if they do try and stay up, I think they would probably try and sign him because he's been very well liked and appreciated at Luton. Let's go to John, who says, any new rumours concerning Santi joining the backroom staff? If we were to join Partey to mentor Zubimendi, we'd go invincible. Nothing really on that front. He's obviously very open to coming back to Arsenal, Santi, and he's spoken as much publicly about that. But no, not at the moment. There's no suggestions that he will be returning to Arsenal at this stage. I think we are going to end stuff there. Oh, Tiger Gunner says, hi, Tom. I'm going to the Arsenal women's game in Melbourne next month, living over here now in Australia. Well, enjoy. And it's great to see Arsenal spreading their net far wider now around the world. I do hope that there is a summer tour away from America soon because, we need to give attention to our other fan bases around the world. I feel like, we've shunned them somewhat. It's great for American fans, and I know they're loving it, and a lot of people are going to be going to their first games the first time in their lives. But, I do think there is something to be said about the need to broaden our summer tours a bit more and to reward fans from elsewhere in the world, in Asia and Africa and other parts of Australia, even, of course, where the women are going this season too. So, yeah, I think it's something that we need to look at. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your time. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, bright and early, as always, at 8 a.m. to give you all the latest Arsenal information. And I don't think I'm around this evening. There's always a chance something can crop up, but I think I've got plans. But other than that, stay safe, stay well, stay happy and respectful. And as always, up the Arsenal.